Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another live stream session with Sage and me, Esther. Sage,
Yeah,
how
I
you
mean,
doing today?
hi everyone. Excited to be here today. I was just on a hot seat of trying to like do some debugging on Zag.js, on RQI, but then like, okay, now let's get ourselves into Panda CSS mode and try to make
hmm
sense of this.
Yeah, it's been a while, right? We've been doing live streams on Chakra AI Arc, and today is Panda. So, yeah, like, hope I can still remember everything about Panda, right?
Yeah, I mean that's how I feel. But let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. So today we are going to be building out the Cody landing page by source graph. So I'm just going to put the link in the chat for anyone that wants to follow along. So we're going to be using Panda CSS to develop this page, and yeah, we'll walk through all the different steps and how to style a modern interface like this using Panda CSS. If you have questions as we go, feel free to drop them in the comments, and somehow we'll circle back to your questions and try to answer them before the end of this live session. All right.
Awesome. Yeah, but what is the general goal of like what do we want people to take away from this stream?
Yeah, I think the major thing is for them, was for people that join the live stream to understand how to build recipes for components when developing applications. For example, you
Okay.
know, this entire page has different components. So, and these components have different variants. So we are going to be using the recipe concept in Panda CSS to develop different variants for these components. And I think just best practices on how to structure, the different components when developing in Panda CSS. I think that's the major thing I want people to take out from this live stream.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yep.
awesome then. Let's get into it and see how far we can go.
Cool. All right. So you want to share your screen and get started?
Yeah, let me share my screen. So I've just added my screen to the stage, and I'll just get this out of the way for now. So here we are. So this is kind of like a quick overview of the page we'll be developing with Panda. If let me zoom in a bit, I
Yeah,
think.
that's good.
Um, yeah. Yeah, so this page is from SourceGraph. I mean, it's just a random pick. I mean, Esther just picked this at random and just like, let's build this out.
Yeah, I think I like the
So
page.
yeah, so I mean, let's just go through and see like what we can do, how far we can go in 30, 40 minutes using Panda CSS. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, like when working on like a marketing page like this, what I always look out for is just like what are the common themes on this page. All right, so um, just looking at this, I see some buttons on this page. I see some text or heading text, and then some like body text. A bit of like maybe you call this a badge, I guess. Right,
Yeah, that's
and
a badge.
yeah, then I see another button, a bunch of text, image, the same badge again with some text. So I think if you go through the page, of course, it looks pretty clean. Yeah, so it's pretty much just like a repetition of that, and then just some left and right arrangement with a bunch of text here as well. So without thinking too much, I mean, what I'll first do, what I tend to do first is just spin up a project,
Like,
create the components that I can see here. I'm not gonna jump directly to just working on the page. Just figure out how I want to structure out the components that I see on this page, and then build those components out. Then when I do that, I then start to look at the layout. I just put them all together and start to arrange them, just like Lego blocks in that sense.
okay. Yeah. So what are we using to build out this page today?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's Panda CSS, so let's just get Panda CSS in. I've been in the Chakra UI mode for a bit too long, so let's see if I can still remember how to get into the Chakra space.
Panda space.
Panda space, yeah. So I'm just gonna, create a new project. So let's just make a new project here. I probably would use maybe next, right?
Yeah, next year's.
Yeah, let's just call this source graph page or site maybe. And then we pick TypeScript, we pick all the things. Yeah, we pretty much just say yes to most of the things, and then
Mm-hmm.
we go from there. But it's just a usual step when you want to set up Panda
Yeah,
CSS new project. But it's a next year's project. We wait for all the stuff to be done. And then we can go into the source graph site, open that up in VS Code. I'll try to fix my zoom levels again so you can
yeah. If you
see
can zoom
that.
in one more time. Yep, perfect.
Yep. Yeah, so the first things first is to install Panda. So I guess it's add-d at panda css/dev.
Mm-hmm.
So that sets up Panda, installs Panda at least, maybe not setup. Yeah, and then we've got like the
Initialize
pnpm
Panda.
panda init dash post css, since that's what we want to use here. So so that automatically sets up Panda with post css,
Mm-hmm.
and the Panda config is all good. We can see the style system directory also there, ready to go. Okay, so with that in place, so here you can see the includes is kind of set to source, and then another one is also set to pages. So I'm just going to get rid of pages since all my stuff is inside source by default. All right. So the CLI also prompted us to set up this CSS theme. So that's a
Index the
layer
CSS.
CSS. So I just go to the globals, the CSS
Yeah,
file, and just replace that with the cascade layer setup. I'll just do a bit of trim up here. Let's just get rid of all this stuff, all the fluff that's not used. From here, all the way down, like so. Create a div.
so you have a div. Okay.
Yeah, let's just say hello source graph. Okay. Yeah, that's what we expect. And then here we've got the font setup. We'll come back to the font setup in a bit. We don't really need that right away. So right now we're
Okay.
kind of ready to
Yeah, let's
go.
start the server and see what shows up.
I'll start the server and just keep it around. I've got another project running. I think that's why it's there. So this is our hello world.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much ready to go. Let's
Yep.
just graph. So let's go back to the page we're working on here. Okay. So I'm just gonna pull this over here to where VS Code is, so it's kind of easy to switch between them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's just
So
close that out. Yeah. What do you want to say?
yeah, I was going to say, so what's the first thing we want to do now? Is it to identify the different components that we want to build from the page?
Yeah, let's start by identifying that. So, I'll just kind of clean up this README, which is always fill up with a bunch of stuff. I'm just going to delete all that and just sort of components, right?
Steps. Okay.
So let's try to list out all the components we can see here. So we've got like a bunch of buttons
Yep. We have
here.
button.
So that's like buttons. It's definitely one of those. And those
Yep.
buttons come in different sizes, right?
Mhm.
So I can see some sizes.
Different sizings and different
I can
variants.
see some variants in there, right?
Yep.
So we see some. I think it's just here we then start to think through like how do you name this, right? So you just there's this medium-sized button, and then there's a slightly larger one. Then we just try to look for like other buttons on the page.
Yeah, there's one towards the end,
Yeah, it's also
like the
somewhat
last
like
CTA. Yep.
Yes, also somewhat like the medium one that's on the nav as well. So we can see essentially there are two sizes for this button,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's sort of what we've identified, medium and large. And then the variance is somewhat like we've got this. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not
we
sure
have
what
this
we call that.
muted. I don't know. Will you call it muted
Secondary,
or
secondary,
secondary?
primary,
Yeah,
and
and the
maybe
one that
like
has a white background down. You
inverted, I
call that
guess.
inverted. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just names, right? So whatever you call those, just
Yeah.
fine, right? So let's just start out by, I mean, making the page like look completely like dark, just like
Mm-hmm.
what we see there. So I think by default this is the setup of Next.js. So I just come somewhere here. I mean, just set up a class name with a CSS function. I mean, it's always tricky sometimes with our CSS imports. So we just do like gray, maybe 900, and we
Mm-hmm.
set the color to like some, let's just put white. So that way we at least get the entire page to be like
Yeah.
just dark, even though the gray feels a bit like, I mean,
Maybe
a bit too
should we just use black?
slate, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, what other colors do we have
We have
in Panda? Let's see.
stone. We
That
have
looks
stone.
like
We have zinc.
zinc. Yeah, I think zinc
Yeah, we
looks, I
have
mean,
zinc.
let's try zinc and see how that looks.
Yeah, it's pretty close, I think.
Yeah, I use the 950 version of zinc.
Okay.
All right, so that's pretty much what we get. So we use the zinc color to kind of just make everywhere go dark at once. Or we can also use black. I mean, there's also like different options in
Yeah.
that sense, right? So we can go full black here. So it's just like full black and white. So that's pretty much like what we're gonna start with.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now let's kind of start to think about the buttons. I mean, just try to put the buttons in place at the different variants of the button, and then we start the
Yeah.
page. All right, so I'll come here and create like a components slash button.tsx. Yeah, so the general thing I like to do is to create a button recipe. All right, so
Mm-hmm.
I'll use the CVA function to just spin up a quick button recipe. From what I can see, it's got like some font weight of bold, I think. And
Is he on
then
I don't think that's on everything. I think
there's
that's just large size.
yeah, maybe, but we'll fix that. We'll fix that
Mm.
shortly. Right. So there is that one, and then there are of course a bunch of variants. So there's
Mm-hmm.
the size variant, which we already recognized as medium and
Medium
large.
and large.
And then the variants are pretty much primary. I don't know. So we're just using classic names
Secondary,
here.
yeah,
Um,
and inverted.
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure even whether it's a good
I
name, but
want to
let's
use
just.
tertiary.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it. By default, we'll set the size to be medium,
Medium
and the variant
and
to
variant
most likely be
be
the secondary one.
secondary. Okay.
All right. So pretty much just have that recipe. Yeah. Maybe I just export that and use only the recipe all the way. Okay. So now let's try and figure out the styles for the medium one. So pull up the Chrome monitor, assuming so you guys can see. And just
Mm-hmm.
look through the computed properties of that button. So link, got a span, and then this one has got like some sort of interesting height. It's 37
It's
pixels.
37 pixels, yeah.
Yeah, and I also see some sort of padding. Like how does it actually? Whatever, we'll figure it out. So we've got like some sort of padding going on the height, right? So let's come here and just like figure out the padding on the left and right, and then let's just use a min height of
10, yeah.
10. Yeah. And then here we've got like, I mean, we just have to boost all the things for
Your X
now.
is maybe 6 and mean height is 12.
Mean height is 12, correct.
Yep.
Okay. So with that setup, I mean, of course, there's like classic button styles you want to set up, which is the display flex and the align item center, and then maybe a bit of gap in event that there's a button there. So these are kind of like the key things. So let's look at the border radius next. Like
Yeah.
what is,
How
it's got
long
a
is
border radius
8?
of 8 pixels.
Yeah.
And then for the large one, it's also got a border radius of like 8 pixels. So that means that, I mean, we can keep that on the base.
Base.
I think MD is fairly okay, but we can use large and see what comes out of that. So let's use this recipe quickly. Just so we see something on the page and we're not just working blindly. So here we've got like button element, book a demo, login, sign up. All right, book a demo, log
Login
in,
and
sign
sign up.
up. Okay, sign up. All right, so let's just use the recipes. Of course, we'll convert this to a component later on, but I prefer to work with recipes first. All right, so we've got those 3 buttons. And then we've got that one. We've got that one. All right,
And
let's see.
yeah.
Let's see how that looks. All right, so now we have to start the variants. Right.
Yep.
Right, so I'll just pull this out so we can actually see that directly. Maybe collapse this also. So let's work on the variants a bit. So we've got the primary or the secondary variant.
So which
This
are we
one,
calling the primary? Is it the one that has the orangey
yeah,
field?
the orangey one is the
Okay.
primary, I think. Yeah. So let's just kind of like style that to look like so. And then here, the secondary
Secondary
one,
is
we'll
the
probably use like a zinc 100,
zinc. Okay.
or maybe not 100, like 800
Zinc
or 900,
900. Yeah.
something like that.
Okay. Then
And
inverted. Yeah.
then the inverted one would
It's the
come
one
here
that
on
has
the
like a
page
white. Yeah.
and make, I mean, based on the size, we see that sign up is styled primary, right? So
Yeah.
let's just make sign up, set the variant to primary.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can see if the styles look good. It doesn't look as good. So let's just kind of turn that
Orange
down to
to
like,
that's probably still dark. Maybe 500.
yeah, let's use like 600 is probably fine.
600. Okay.
Yeah, and I think like you mentioned, the bold font weight, I mean,
Yeah, I
font
actually think the
weight.
bold is only on the primary.
Yeah, so
And
what we do is we keep it medium by default. And then on the large side, we then make it
you
at
can then
bold
make it
or
no.
maybe semi-bold. So we'll
Okay.
come to the large one shortly.
Okay.
Right, so that's the button. Let's bring the large one, right? Which is this download for free. We just got an icon there. So let's just go download for free. And then we set the size to large. All right, let's see what that looks like. I think it looks pretty okay.
And
I
then
think it looks good.
yeah, that's fine. So should we do the style for the inverted button also? Let's add some styles to the inverted button.
Yeah, so where do we see the inverted button? I think
It's
we see
towards
that
the end, the very last
towards the
one.
end of the page down
Yeah,
there. Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. Probably something we miss also is the hover interaction for this
For the
secondary one.
button. Yeah.
All right, so let's go here and just fix that one. So when you hover on this, okay, that's primary,
Maybe, yeah.
secondary. We can take the BG to like orange
Orange
400.
400. Yeah.
Yes,
For the
maybe not that.
primary for the primary on hover, it has like a slightly lighter BG on hover.
Yeah, that's fine. So let's
Make
come back to like orange
orange
500 maybe.
500. Yeah. Cool.
And so let's test this out. That's fair. But that one feels a bit like inaccessible in terms of like contrast. So maybe we don't need to go that far. We should probably go higher up. Maybe
which
like
is 500. Yeah,
um
it's better now, right?
yeah, let me see 600, just testing out. Yeah, it's probably too
Okay.
deep. So we'll stick at 500, and then just add like a general transition for the background, right? Right, so let's see, it kind of fades in nicely instead of
Soft.
being
Yeah,
too sharp in that
sharp.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So let's do one that's inverted, which is a button that says "Get Started." Get started, and then we change that variant to inverted. Okay, and then we go here and we say,
And
okay,
inverted BG is, should we make
BG
it
is
white?
white.
Okay.
The color is probably black. I mean, and
Yeah.
let's see what happens when you hover on that button.
It goes
Not
to like
much.
a gray color, maybe
Yeah,
gray
I
dot
guess we go color.
200.
Yeah, I mean, we'll stick to zinc, maybe.
Okay.
So we'll
Zinc.
do like zinc, maybe not 200 since it's a dark UI. But let's see how that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a
Maybe.
bit too much.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Just
Like
soft. Yeah.
awesome. All right. So we've got like all the. I mean, I
Buttons.
mean, yeah. Of course, this color looks more like red and orange now that I see it. Yeah, but I think
Okay.
we have
Should we
something to
switch
do
it to
first.
red? Should we switch out the orange to red?
Yeah,
See
let's
how
do
it
that.
shows up.
I mean, it's at least it's not that far away compared to orange.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
color is
again,
something you could always switch out to
I
whatever
can
you
easily
want.
switch it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's. I mean, I think I'm very comfortable with red more than orange.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
All
cool.
right. So we have our buttons all done.
Yeah, so we've got the buttons done. Now we need to. I mean, it's kind of up to us if you want to like use recipes all the way. You can also just do that. Or if you prefer to make those components, I mean, you can also do
Yeah,
that.
I
And
prefer to
so
make personally, I think it's just a preference. I always like making my recipes into components and just passing the props.
yeah, that sounds good. So to make those a component, I think we just bring in the GSX framework,
Frame
React.
Friday, yeah.
So that will kind of like set up this GSX entry point automatically. So
Mm-hmm.
what all I have to do is just like let me see if I can shorten this by using the art character. Um, Probably not, but I'll check. So what I'll do then is I'll just like move that into like a button component, and I'll use the styled
Mm-hmm.
make a styled component from that and put the button recipe. So this way I already like created a button component that consumes that recipe, right? And also because I know that some of these are links, they're not actually just buttons. This one right here is a button; it doesn't link to anywhere. So what I kind of like to do also is just to create like a button link
Yeah.
version of that, but I will not use the A tag. I'll probably bring in like the link from Next.js, since that's really what is going to like route the
Mm-hmm.
page. Right, so now I can pretty much clean up all this. So here we've got like they're all button links in general. So we've got button link.
Yeah.
From there, we've
Are you
got
using Kuso? Something Kuso can.
no, I'm using VS Code, unfortunately. But I think Copilot is good. I just
Okay.
don't enjoy working on it too as much. But I think the error is just passing an href, and then we can get rid of the
Mm-hmm.
class name. And then we can do the same for that as well, which is convert that to a button component and pass the variant to be primary. And that's it for that one. And then here we've got like a button. Yep. And then we got size of large and variant of primary autocomplete. Yep. Yeah, then the last one here is pretty much the same. So
Yeah,
button
variant
size is
inverted.
large and the variant is inverted. Okay.
Yep.
Right, there you go. So we've got that, and now we don't need to use a recipe, but I like to keep it around in case I need to do a one-off
Mm,
style. Right, so we check that again and we see that all the buttons look the same. All
yep.
right, so now let's go to just create a basic layout. At least we can start here with something like the nav bar
Yep.
area. So now that I've got all the buttons, I'm gonna skip all this like the nav menu here and just put the text for
Mm-hmm.
now, right? So what I'll do is let's. I mean, one interesting trick I like to do when I start this kind of thing is I create like a wrapper, like so, and then on that wrapper I do like a class name. Let's grab CSS. I just do like a debug true on it. All right. So that just helped me see like everything I'm about to do on this page.
Yeah.
And then so this would be my the header in that sense. So we've got the source graph logo here. Let's see how we can pick that out. It's an image. So I would. What's the best thing we should do here?
You can grab the source, the link.
For the sake of this one, let's just grab the SVG code.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got the logo. All right. So that would be one of the components there. Export const logo. And then we drop in the source graph logo like so. Remove any extra scripts from there. And then all the clip parts. I mean, this one is a bit tedious, but I think it's fine. We have it now. All right, so now we can put the logo on there. Drop in the logo.
Yeah.
See what that looks like on the page. Yeah, it's coming together now. All right,
Yeah.
so the reason why we put the debug through is just so we can actually see like the layout. So you see blue lines and red lines everywhere, but it's just to help you see kind of like what you're working on. Yeah, and I actually fancy it quite a lot. All right, so the next thing I'll do is I'll make a container. I
Yeah.
mean, now that we're using JSX, I can decide to go full board on JSX, but let me do it one by one. Um, So here I've got the container here, which kind of like adds some nice padding to those. And so I like to have that container. And then I'll move the debug to that container and get rid of this one for now. I'll come back there shortly. And then we go to the text, right? So we've got a bunch of text, feature, resource, pricing. All right. So let's just make those quickly. So I'll make a quick array of nav items. Yeah, so
Features, resources,
we've
yeah.
got features. There's no home. There's features. There's
Resources,
resources.
pricing.
I'm just gonna put hash in all of them for now. There. Pricing, right?
Yeah, pricing.
Pricing.
And then the search public code.
Okay, fine. Search public
Public
code.
code. Yeah.
So let's just hash that one out. Okay. So with that in place, we've got the logo, and then we've got a set of links. So those links, I'll just wrap them like so, and then just like map through the nav items. All right. I mean, I wish VS Code was like much smarter. Yeah, so we've got the nav links and the text, and then we just start by styling them here. Of course, we're gonna move this out shortly. I think the biggest thing we'll do is just to like mute out the text a bit. We apply a color of gray, um, like so. we probably want to come to like the lighter part of that, maybe like 200. I think we said we're gonna stick to zinc,
Zinc.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
zinc to 200.
Yeah, and then we can just go a little darker,
Yeah,
like
I
so.
think it's fine
Alright.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is not a true font size in that sense, but let's just kind of take down the font size a bit. All right. So that's our nav link. And again, we're working within Next.js. We can just use the custom link from
Mhm.
Next.js. So that gives us some sort of styling. And then
Yeah.
here,
Do you want
because
them within an H stack?
because I've got like I think here I can decide to cheat a bit and just go straight to like
Mhm.
the H stack,
GSX.
the GSX H stack instead. Right. So that just like puts like all the things in place for me. And there you go. I think the links are there. We probably need to add a bit of more gap to them.
Gap
Right.
of maybe like
So I'll increase the
4, 5.
gap a bit. Yeah, something
Yeah,
like
that
that.
looks good.
Yeah, and then the buttons need to fit in there. So I just need to pick out the three buttons, those three buttons.
Yeah.
So far we've got like the container, we've got the logo, and then we've got the H stack, right? And then the buttons also should go into a specific, container. So I'll keep them there on H stack for now,
Okay.
so that they're all stacked equally. Okay. So there we go, and then ultimately we just need to flex those. So we've got the container there. We bring in you can also
Flex.
cheat here as well. Flex like so. Yeah, then I can take that out of the
You can take
container
the
most
flex out.
likely.
Yeah.
Yep. So there you go. So we've got the flex, and then we can do like a justify space between, which is just an alias for justify content. And then we can do an align center as well, right? So that kind of like forces them. I'm just gonna zoom out so it looks true like the UI
Mhm.
in that sense. So that kind of like forces them to look like that. Then we just
Yeah.
bump down the font size a little bit. So that's what we have.
Yeah. I think it looks good.
Maybe a little bit of more like a top padding.
Okay, on the
Um,
container.
yeah, on the flex container as well, or I can do that on the container element, which is just a py of 3 or py of 2. And I can get rid of the bug.
Mhm.
Yes, I'm here. I'm intentionally using a mix of like functions and GSX, so people can actually see that. Like, you're really not bound to like either function. You're not bound to anything. You can decide to use
Yeah, you
functions
can.
with or class
Yeah, you
names.
can use any that you prefer. I always
Yeah,
love
any
when
of the
you prefer.
syntax you prefer.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. So I think the what's missing here is actually just font size. So here we can just come in here and apply some classic font size to them. We use SM there, and then we do like MD on this one,
Okay.
which doesn't change anything in that sense. So compared to what we're working with, you can see there's a little bit of like a shift downwards. So it means that there's a bit more padding,
Mm.
and it's probably
We
not
have
as
on
big.
ours. We
Yeah.
have what?
So I'll probably take this down to like, well, let's
8.
come back to the page. I thought of taking it down to like 8. Yeah, and
Mm.
this one down to like 10.
Okay.
And then on the page, we can just bump up that a little bit. We don't have to be super exact in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe the buttons, of course, take down the font size, maybe a little bit more, like XS and
Okay.
SM.
SM.
Yeah, so it's starting to at least come together nicely. I'm not
It
seeking
looks
to
good.
like make it one to one. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that gives you
It's
a fair
just
enough idea.
the color of the background color of the, is it the primary button? Should we make it lighter? It seems to blend with the
It
background now.
seems okay. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's come down here to that one. Do we do like 500?
No, The one that has the zinc, maybe it's the secondary. Yeah, the secondary color. Yeah,
That
maybe
one.
we can make it like zinc dots 800 or 700, so it's not as dark.
Which is that? Is it
Like
the
the one
text
for
at
the
the
bouquet.
bottom?
Yeah, this bouquet
Oh, I see, I
demo.
see, I see what you
Yeah,
mean. So let's come down to like 800, I guess.
yeah, yeah. It looks more
Yeah,
like it.
probably
Yeah,
stands out a bit
yeah.
more. Nice. All right, so that's kind of like the. I mean, let's go to like the now section,
Mm,
right? So I mean, typically I just tend to like I just grab everything from there and just chop it out into like its own like just like nav,
nav bar,
right?
nav. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, nav can get quite complex sometimes.
Mm,
So it needs to sort of like be isolated out as much as possible. So I'll just like pick those, and then go to nav items. I'll move those away from there as well into the nav. Just put it at the bottom. All right. So now I've got the nav, and then I just replace all that with nav now. So here we just replace that with the nav component, and we're still back in business.
So now we're on to the header section, right? The section that has the headline and the content and the button.
Yeah, that's probably where would I mean wrap up, given the time. But
Mhm.
let's make some progress here. Yeah, I think we've done pretty well already. So we
Mhm.
need some icons. We need a badge like that one. Yeah, but let's just put all the text on the page. All right. So
Mhm.
down here we've got like a news section. I mean, you can use whatever you prefer there, and then you've got the heading, which is the major H1 of the page.
Yeah.
And that is the enterprise AI code assistant. And you've got the secondary text, which could be a P or could be like an H3, depending on what you
Mhm.
prefer. I'll use a P for now. And there we've got like that one. And then the final button, which is download for free. So those are
Yeah.
considered like together. Right. So I get rid
Mhm.
of this one. Okay. So, and then we have the badge, of course, that says Cody, right?
Yep.
So that is some spam code Cody. So let's style those pretty quickly. Uh, yeah, on the
Yeah. It looks
page,
like I was gonna
go
say it
ahead.
looks like they're all stacked together. They have similar gap between them. So should we use a stack?
I'll probably slap in a V stack on those.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's
V
stack.
stack, like so. No, come on. Yeah, use the V stack pattern and apply a gap, probably like a big gap between them, just to get things
Mhm.
centered correctly. And then let's see what that looks like. Yeah, at least it's starting to take shape. Now we can actually like create the recipe for the
Ah,
heading or
heading.
the text. Yep. So I mean, ideally, what we want to do is to create one recipe to sweep through all the text stuff on this page, right? So I'll probably do that so we can capture this one and that one at least.
Are we going to make one recipe for the heading and the text, or a heading recipe separate from like the body text?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, you could do that in one component, typography.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you just could actually do like heading and text. I think it depends on preference, but let's do heading and text. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So I will just come here and do like heading. Let's just make that quickly. So we
Mm-hmm.
do the heading recipe. Again, we use a CVA. And then there's some base styles, of course.
Yeah.
I think the
Base
common
style,
style
the
is that
color.
it's bold.
Mm,
The color is white,
yeah.
and then it's got some size.
Yeah. This first size is about 56 pixels. This H1. So that will be what?
I just
Extra
make that
large, 2XL.
extra large,
Okay.
just so that
Extra
it's
large.
the biggest on the page.
Yeah.
Or we
It's
can actually do something like, I mean, you could call this like the. You can use actual names like heading,
heading
subheading, and stuff like
slash.
this. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Let's just stick to extra large
Okay.
there.
So for this extra
So
large. What's font size? Font size of 2XL or 5XL? Okay.
Yeah, we can blow it up and see. Yeah,
I
I'll
think that's
just
more
make
like 60 pixels, right? So that's
no
fine.
idea. We have to try, and
Yeah.
then we go here and just like slap in the recipe first. Again, we have
Okay.
to make sure this is well designed before we make that into a component. So that's what we get right now with the heading recipe. Well,
Okay.
let's just set the default variant size to Excel. Uh, that's what it looks like.
Yep. I think it looks good.
Yeah, it's almost there. We need to maybe probably make it like a little tight since it's a heading. Maybe use semi-bold instead. Um, yeah, that at least gets us a bit closer to.
Very
That one
realistic.
is probably bigger, but I think it's good enough. So here we can do maybe 6XL if we want to be like real big, just like that one.
Yeah, I think it's close.
Right, and then we do like so let's just stop there for the heading. We can add more sizes as we go,
Mm.
of course, but then we can do the text component.
Text. Yeah.
Yeah, which is just that muted text right there. So we probably make one for the text. Yep, text recipe, and then we do a CVA for that one. Probably
Big.
make that like
Um,
make the color like gray or zinc.
Zinc dots 400 or
It's
300.
400 or 300, yeah. And then it's got like a bunch of variants, right? So
The
let's
size.
start with the size. I mean, we just create a medium size first, right? So which probably doesn't change anything, just keeps it the same for now. And then we set the size to be empty. At least let's have something to see on the page. Right, so here I'll do like text recipe, and then let's see what that looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what we
it's
get.
pretty close. Yeah.
We can maybe tone down the color a bit more by going like 400 maybe. Because if I
Yeah.
compare with that, that one is
Yeah.
like toned
400 is a
down.
lot closer.
Yeah,
You want to reduce the gap, maybe make the gap 6 instead of 8
yeah, let's
on
do
this stuff.
that. Let's do 6 here. Yeah, so with 6, I mean, it generally feels closer, but I think there's also another factor, which is just like the line height,
Mm-hmm. On the
the
heading.
line height of the heading. So we can tighten up I think there's like, what are the options here? Let's do like tight. All right, so that pushes it a bit more, like so. And then the overall section has some like interesting padding to the top and bottom. Right.
Yeah.
So what I'll do here is just like this section right here, just like give it a PY. I mean, let's do a generous one so we can see how it looks.
Yep.
Pretty close.
And then our button.
It can be even more generous. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we're getting pretty close there. And then the button there
Mhm.
looks a little bit smaller than what the actual one, as we
Yeah.
can
It
see.
does.
So we
Probably
just
need to
like,
take back the mean height
so we take
to
it back to 12.
12. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks just as big, somewhat close, right?
And yeah. And then do
Yeah.
we
So,
want to add an icon?
yeah. I mean, what do we want to do with icons? So you can use a library, or you can like copy each SVG one by one.
We can use a library. I think that's more straightforward.
Yeah, the library is most of the time is Lucid. I mean, it's Lucid or Lucid React.
Mm.
Right. So I can pull that in or just copy the SVG actually. So I go to the site and I look for icons. I know this looks like arrow top
Arrow
right.
right. Yeah.
Mm, top right. Let's just put right and see
Right.
what's there. Where's the icon I'm looking for? That one. Arrow
Yep.
upright.
Upright.
Okay, so I just copy the JSX for that one. Yeah, that's also another way instead
Okay.
of like, I mean,
The
bringing the
entire
entire
library.
library. Um, but no, that's what we get instead. So I just go with the alternative approach to just add
The
the library
library.
itself, right?
Okay.
Just
Okay.
so I don't keep looking for icons. Okay, so we've got arrow upright, bring that up. And there we
Is it
go.
imported? Okay, yeah, it's imported.
Yeah, and there we see the icon. So we can
Mm.
bump up the font size a little bit for the button component. So let's go there. Maybe bump it up to MD. So
MD,
it
yeah.
actually looks big.
MD looks better.
Yeah, so that's what we. I mean, that's what we get. So the last thing we'll do is sort of like the badge here.
Yeah. The badge has different variants, right? It has
Yeah, the
this,
badge has all sorts of interesting color schemes.
yeah.
So maybe this year we can actually show the color palette feature
Oh, yeah. Sure.
from Panda, right? So what I'll do is create one for the badge, like so. I'll just make one more. I mean, I just love making recipes when I see components like this. Because it's so much easier to work with. Like when you
Yeah.
come back to the code, you can actually like understand what's going on there. So yeah, so the badge has like, I mean, an interesting size. So let's just see how tall that is. So it's like 30. So the size is kind of like just determined by the padding. So there's a PX and PY on the
Mm-hmm.
badge, and it's fairly the same, right? So it's just different variants, I guess.
I think
There's no,
it's the same size, it's just different colors.
yeah, just different colors, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's just do that. So we do a PX of 3, a PY of 2, PY of 2, and then we do a background. So here, instead of putting an actual color, we just use color palette of 500 for
No,
that one.
that's a BG of the BG should be light, right?
It's just like 700 or something. Since
Or
we're in a dark mode,
200. Oh, okay.
since
Okay,
we're
let's
kind of
see.
like in a
Let's see.
dark mode.
Yeah, let's see how it shows up.
So we've got different variants as well. So maybe not. Should we do the variants? Yeah, let's do the
Maybe not.
variants.
Do we need variants or we just apply the exact color palette to wherever we need it?
I mean, it's kind of. I mean, my own take here is kind of like just to encapsulate all the things.
You just want to do the two, like explicit two variants, right?
Yeah, but let's do the other things first. We get to it. Border radius of full, I think, because it's fully rounded,
Yeah. Oh,
and then we've got like a nice, interesting outline around that. So let's do like a border. I tend to do like just split it apart, border with one, and then border color. I do like a color palette, like I think maybe 400 or something, or
yeah. The color
500.
probably also needs to have a color palette, right? The color.
Yeah, that's a good one. We do a color palette of like whatever 600. So we just spray it all there, and then we come here and
We
figure
see
it
how it
out.
shows up.
See how it shows up. So here we do like the badge recipe. Yeah, just the badge recipe. Let's see. So that's what we get without the color palette
Okay.
in that sense, right? So we can set the color palette just to any of the closest element. So let's set this to purple or red to start.
Right. Yeah.
So that's like really what we designed.
Yeah. I think the background color needs to be a lot lighter.
Yeah, so we come here and then we start like, I mean, take that
Just
to like, it needs to go
maybe
like
light or
way
dark.
darker.
My head's telling me it should be light
Yeah,
or it
that's
should
what
be
light
dark.
looks like.
Okay. So maybe 950.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of depends. So here we can try the opacity modifier.
Sure. Yeah,
So we
that's a
can
good
maybe
one.
like cut down the opacity because
Mm-hmm.
light, so that looks good. And then here, I mean, we can legit use 900 now. Then the text color needs to come up a bit, so it's a bit more legible. But it needs to at least match the border color. So what I'll do is maybe use current color here, and let's control everything with color. All right. Maybe cut this one down a little bit more, like 50% of that.
Or even
Oh
60.
no, 20. Maybe we need to go down
Oh,
actually.
okay. We need to go down, yeah.
30.
30. Cool.
Okay. So we're not there yet. I think we can't use current color here. Let's kind of like do something like that.
Okay, do you
So
want
that
to zoom in
is,
a little so we can see?
yeah. I mean the UI is all messed up, but that's
Yeah.
kind of like as far as we're
Okay,
going.
that's fine.
So what I'll do is I'll scale it up just so we can see it. Scale of 2, so we can actually see just the
Yeah.
yeah, we can actually see just that, right? So I think it looks okay. Maybe the PY is a bit too much. Let's try 1. Yeah, so it looks more like a peel.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there you go. So at least it looks, I mean, quite close. And then here they're using like the mono text, and you can see that they've got like an interesting issue with the landing page on this
Mm-hmm.
breakpoint. So
Yeah,
let
it
me just go
shifts.
back a bit. And then here we set the font family to mono, which should at least use some sort of mono font instead. So it looks like that. It's
Probably
scaled.
take down the phone. Okay, it's because it's scaled.
Yeah,
Okay.
scaled. So just so you can see. I mean, actually, that's what it looks like on the page.
Yeah, it looks good.
All right. So the final thing we can do is like, of course, we need to bump up back the spacing between them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think the space will reduce the gap significantly. So let's just kind of bump it back up a bit. So at least it looks there's some space
Those.
between them, somewhat close. Yeah, I think worst case scenario we can treat the heading with a much smaller line height, so
Mm-hmm.
that they all go tighter in that sense. All right, so I mean, the cool part with all these things we've done now is like, I mean, as much as it felt like we've just built this section in all these 40 minutes, like all this while,
Yeah. In
the good
56 minutes, actually.
yeah, 50 something minutes, I guess. But the good part is that you've got recipes to work with at this point. Like, you're not like, I mean, trying to sort of like recreate and style each of them from scratch. You've got recipes
Yeah.
for all the different things.
And you
And
can just speed up your development. Just
yeah,
that
usually that like, I mean,
now.
usually starting out is the takes the most time. But now that I've got the recipes, here you can just sort of apply, I mean, a different recipe, and you still got the text recipe, so you can just play around with the heading and the text, and everything just works pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, so
I
just to
see.
wrap things up, I'll take this one out from here. As always, I like to kind of chunk them out.
Into its
um,
own component
Yeah, you
file.
can probably just call this like the hero. I mean,
You were.
probably use like a dot section. So it's kind of like very clear what is a section and what is not. You could do like a folder as well. So you could call that the hero section and just chop it off at that point. Okay. So there you get to keep like, I mean, everything in here in one place. And then on your page, you've just got that the nav, you've got the hero section. And now we've got just that. And everyone that's working on this can easily say, okay, I'm working on the page. I see there's a nav and there's a
There's
hero
a
section. If
section.
I want to work on the hero section, I just work on that
Yeah.
and just go there and tweak it, make it work. I think the And the worst way of doing this is if you put everything all on the same page. It's so hard
Oh
to
my,
find.
it's gonna be too hard to
Um,
even debug.
yeah, it'd be so hard to find all the things, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we could have gone further. I think we have all the components to make all these things come to life.
Yeah.
But
Do you
yeah,
think
we've
we'll
gone
come back to
through.
this on another live stream?
Maybe, yeah, we could do that. Go much further in another live stream.
Mhm.
Hopefully, the page has not changed by then.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we don't have
hopefully
to
we'll
recreate
see.
them
Yeah,
again.
we'll see
Yeah,
about that. Okay. But I think this really the process of creating an app, a landing page. Just figure out the components that you need, create the recipes, and just start laying them out.
yeah, of course. Sometimes it might feel a bit immature, premature in that sense to like start making recipes. Why not just code it out and as you go, then you can extract them to recipes. But I think I preferred like the top-down approach to writing code in general, which is like you can see what the end product is. You just have to look through and figure out like what are the key things that I need to make this much faster.
Yeah,
Right.
I
So
agree.
we picked out the button and picked out the text. When we have that, going to a new page and doing like the pricing page should also feel much less stressful because again, you see all the buttons we've got. We've got the heading and the text as always. It just feels like you're stitching them together as opposed to like implementing every single page as it is
Definitely.
each time. Yeah.
Mhm. And one of the things I like about Panda CSS is the fact that we have those layout patterns, like you have the H tag, V tag, so you're not necessarily creating all those layouts by yourself. You can just grab them either in the functions or GSX formats and use them when laying out these components that you've developed as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully we're able
Awesome.
to come back to this. And yeah, I think the major part that is exciting is using the recipes that we've already built and developed. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in review, what we did largely is just to like, we started off by, just the bare bones. Everyone loves buttons. Once you see them on the page, you want to attack them quickly. So we pretty much just went straight to the button, designed the recipe for that button, all the recipes we need for the page. And then we converted those to a component, right? So usually a button can be used as a link as well. So put the styled link and put the styled button. So that automatically takes the recipe and converts it to a component.
Yeah.
And then we use those in the hero section. I think we use them most in the nav. So there we've got like all the links, and then we've got the button links like so. So again, you're using the same recipe in multiple components, right? So the link and then the classic button for sign up. So that's about the rough idea. So after doing the nav, we went into like the what's the next one again? The hero section.
Into the hero. Yeah.
Yeah, and then here you can see just trying to use that. You could easily convert those to components as well. So you have a batch component instead. Maybe that's the last bonus I can do here, so that we can finish up the color palette thingy.
Okay.
So here we do a batch component. That's pretty much it. And then on the hero section, we can clean up this span here and convert those to a
Yeah.
batch component and actually put the color palette directly on the badge. So
Right.
we can have like, so we can get rid of that one and just apply it directly on the component. So if you wanted to see like what that would look like in purple, for example, we just change that color palette to purple. And we go to the page and we see that that's how it looks like. The purple version of the badge. That's how it looks.
Yeah. Pretty
So that's
clear.
a pretty cool and clean feature.
Yeah. So we had Blue Mantis join us earlier, and he was like, "Hey, Shegun, I've been using Chakra for my project since 2020. Love it to the core. Thank you, Blue Mantis, for joining and saying that. It's interesting to see that a lot of people love Chakra, people love Panda CSS, and yeah, a lot more is coming behind the scenes. Yeah, we are working on a lot of cool stuff behind the scenes. I wish I could see them, but yeah, I don't want to mention them before we launch these products. But I'm excited for everything that's still coming up in the Chakra verse. Let's see.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot for the comment. Yeah,
Yeah.
we keep working each day and each month to like make chakra better every time. Yeah, so I'm really excited to see what we have coming out soon as well. Even though I worked on most of them, but at least I'm excited to see how it feels like when we
Yeah, when
launch
people
them. But
start using them.
yeah, exactly. But I think Panda CSS definitely gives us that like interesting, perspective to styling websites or just your applications in general. Specifically, when you just want to, a classic use case I love for Panda is I want to build a marketing site. For example, like I just go in there and just make the thing with Panda CSS because it's largely CSS driven, and you don't have as much like interactive components on a marketing page, maybe a slider here or a navigation menu, and that's it. But then for a full blown application, of course, I mean, I just easily slip away with Chakra and just like build it all.
Yeah, that's it from me. Thank you everyone for joining us on this live stream. I know we had a number of people join us from time to time, so thank you for joining. And for those that will watch it, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, and hopefully on another live stream we answer your questions. All right, I'll see you guys in another one. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.